Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 649 on Tuesday, the 16th of September, 2025. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week, you'll hear about the continued fallout from JLR's WOES. In new car news, you'll find out what happened in Munich. And in points of interest, you hear how perhaps those visiting Scotland need to learn about tea. But first, we leap into follow-up, and it is to do with JLR. The fallout continues, as we said last week, as we said the week before. There is no quick end to this, everybody, and anyone suggesting otherwise, whether it's from the company or outside, is completely delusional, and it appears that reality is beginning to hit home, even within JLR themselves, as they have come out just today with an announcement, that is the 16th of September, with an announcement saying that they won't restart until at least the 24th of September at the earliest. Honestly, I think at best they might have a little bit of partial. They are not going to be up and running. Don't forget again, this is the same type of hack that hit M&S, that hit Co-op. These companies did not bounce back within a couple of weeks. These companies bounced back in months.
And there's a much less complex business to bounce back with.
Yes.
Retail isn't exactly simple, but it's much, much easier than manufacturing and global manufacturing as well. This is a serious thing that's happened to JLR, and I'm not even sure that I don't think they're letting on just how serious it actually is. And those of us who deal with this kind of stuff,
I'm not sure they're in the stage of acceptance of how serious this is. Although this week and in this statement, they do appear to be gaining some awareness, and the language they are using is much more contrite, and I am pleased to see that, because previously it's been quite bullish, no, everything's fine.
Yeah.
No data taken, nothing, blah, 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 blah. And now this time it's like, we're really sorry for all those affected, because we have to remember JLR is one of the largest, if not the largest, OEM employer in the UK, but also supplier-wise, it is the largest in the UK. So there are hundreds of thousands of people affected by this.
Mm-hmm.
And that has caused some politicians, as well as the unions, to call on the government to give support, financial support, to JLR and their suppliers. Now, I personally...
It's difficult.
I do not want anyone associated with JLR, whether it's in the supply chain or whether it's working for them directly, to be affected in any way because of JLR's own mistake. And let's be honest, it is their own mistake.
Or that their IT supplier's mistake as well. Let's not pretend it's all in-house, because I'm sure it isn't.
No, of course, but they have responsibility for this issue.
Yes.
And I reckon they're going to have a very hard time getting something from their insurers because this was a known issue.
Yeah.
They are going to have to demonstrate really very well that they were taking steps to avoid this, and that maybe because they are a multinational, complex organization, things did not happen overnight. They've had 6 months. They've been warned for 6 months. But that's a different matter. You and I both know, large multinational companies, very complex beasts. It is very difficult to roll something out. Even quickly is like 18 months.
But it kind of bugs me that the big organizations like this feel that they're in a position where they can just go and ask for taxpayer money and get it. More taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
In the case of JLR. And I'd say the same in the case of Nissan as well. So Please don't think this is me picking on them. It just bugs me.
I'm not on board with why should we be bailing out their own mistake. But like I said, and just to reiterate, in case anybody missed it, I don't want anyone who is nothing to do with the decision-making to be affected by bad decisions made by the company. It's
one of those greater good challenges, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you don't want, people, someone who works for a supplier who's been working in good faith and working really hard and delivering exactly as they should and all of that stuff, then it sucks that they're the ones who will suffer. And I will bet you that the people at the top of JLR will suffer very little indeed. they'll still have fine big salaries coming in.
What I hope comes out of this, not just for JLR, but for the car industry, is they learn some humility and they learn that they do not know the answer to things and that they actually do need to listen to experts and they do need to listen to departments that aren't necessarily the ones who are driving a future vision.
They're not the sexy ones.
I know I'm a dreamer. I know I'm optimistic and in this front. And you and I have both been in enough companies where this will never, ever happen.
How much easier would it make our jobs? Exactly.
Well, I might not have a job going in and cleaning up after.
Yeah, well, that's true. It will make my job much easier. It'll be a bit harder for you guys, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there will be links in the show notes to one article from Autocar describing what the problems are. There will also be, if you happen to be an Autocar business subscriber, there will be an article going into further detail about how JLR are losing up to, it is alleged, £5 million per day, hence why there is the call for helping with furlough and such things. So do check out the links in the show notes as ever.
Fine if they pay it back.
Well, yeah.
Right, new news. MG, and it's good news. No, it isn't. No, it's not. The current generation of MG3 has been through the Euro NCAP crash test, and it has not done great.
No.
I mean, overall, it's done fine because it has lots of active safety systems. But actually, when it comes to the passive safety of what happens when something does actually crash, then it is a little bit worrying that the seat latching mechanism failed, causing the driver's seat to twist during the impact.
What, something that's never happened in 28 years of testing?
Yes. So it was a poor score for protection of the driver's right femur. As you say, Euro NCAP said it has never witnessed a failure of this kind. It's 28 years of crash testing. The good news here is that MG has said, okay, we're going to do some design changes and we're going to reinforce all that latching mechanism. They promised that in August, and that's come through. But Euro NCAP also found that the driver's head could bottom out through the airbag. In other words, the face firework that has already bruised the heck out of you in front of your face wasn't actually enough to stop you then headbutting the steering wheel. The head protection is only adequate.
How, if it doesn't do the job it's meant to do, how is that adequate?
I don't know. I am merely repeating what's here. I think that's farcical.
And I think this whole situation, as you outlined it at the beginning, underlines a large problem with the scoring.
No, yeah.
This is something that's been going on for many years that we've talked about now. If you are so focused on active and digital safety, irrespective of whether it works on the public road or not, and you still give something a good enough score when it fails basic infrastructure safety, that should not happen.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, both of those changes, to dial back a little bit, and then I will accelerate through what Andrew's just said the seat and airbag changes, by the way, won't be applied to any threes that have already been delivered, as it is. If you've got an early one,
don't crash.
Good luck. Good luck. That said, Euro NCAP has said it's reported the faults to type approval authorities so that they can decide whether or not to issue a recall. Fingers crossed they do.
Hopefully they do, actually.
The spokesman for MG Motor UK told Autocar, and this neatly sums up, I think, and reiterates what Andrew said, based upon a specific concern raised in the Euro NCAP test regarding a mechanism in the driver's seat which did not affect the overall safety rating. It did not affect the overall safety rating. Something is wrong with this test, people. Achieved by the MG3 Hybrid Plus, MG is proactively investigating this and working closely with the relevant authorities. Please do fix it. And fix it on the ones that have already been sold and are out there. That just seems the only reasonable thing to be doing.
It just feels like it's a basic, easy win.
It is. Well, if you think, do you remember a similar thing? What was it? The Suzuki Celerio, when the Autocar testing discovered that you could brake the brake pedal.
Oh, yeah.
Under hard braking. It was Lewis Kingston who actually did it. Suzuki almost immediately put a stop sale on them and then went back and replaced the pedals across every single one that had been sold in the UK.
Because that's what a grown-up company does.
It is.
It values its existing customers because it hopes for them to be continuing customers.
Oh, yeah, totally. Speaking of which, new, smaller, affordable, possibly less safe cars, Andrew.
Possibly. Well, last Friday, the EU Commission met with the European car industry on an annual event that they do, depending on where the massive car show is or the motor show is. This time it was in Munich. More on that in the second part of the show. However, because the car industry was hoping and was making very loud noises about, could you push back the 2035 ICE ban, please? Because we're struggling with that. But also there's this other thing that we'd like to do, which is bring in a small car class, a bit like the K car from Japan. Could you do that? However, President Ursula von der Leyen has said, no, we are sticking with the 2035, although they are going to review how that happens between now and then, because they have made some adjustments in flexibility on how that stuff works previously, but they are dead set on 2035, and then she has made very clear that electric vehicles are the future.
Mm-hmm.
But she then did say, we quite like the sound of this sort of K car class because we want something that is electric. We want some for environmental is what they talked about it. So electric. They want something that's affordable because even the EU politicians have got it through their skulls that people don't have a ton of money. When you look at the Dacia is number 1 or 2 every month in Europe, that should set off alarm bells across the continent that people don't have tons of cash, so therefore they are looking for affordable vehicles that they can get hold of. That's not to say that Dacia doesn't actually have other qualities that you should want, by the way.
Yes.
It's just that they do it at a price point that is very attractive to many. And it's also the size-wise of things, because that is increasingly becoming an issue on our smaller roads in Britain, in Europe, is we do not have these massive wide freeways going through cities. We have smaller roads because we have something called history. And we have based our cities built around history and how we used to get around hundreds of years ago.
Americans cannot understand this simple concept.
But I'm really excited if there is going to be a sort of K-car thing. I am really excited by that, about what can be achieved, because it's also talking about the efficiency of a vehicle. And how long have we banged on about, and we know, friend of the show, Near Khan, I hope you have got your crayons very sharp, Near, because it sounds like you're going to need them.
This is a perfect Near project.
Yes, absolutely. Can you reshape the European car industry for us, please? Don't worry, you've got a couple of weeks. And we are on board with what he says. It's like, let's go for efficiency. Let's go for lightness. Because if it's lighter, the positives are so much more, because if it hits something else or a vulnerable road user, it is so much better than 3 tons of...
It's so much less bad. It's less bad. It's not better.
Yeah, sorry. It's 3 tons of SUV or a van or something like that, obviously. Because physics, it still is a thing. I'm sorry to break it to everybody who just wants to ban all the SUVs, but...
It's not packaging is an issue as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, e-car is what Ursula von der Leyen wants to call it, for the whole environmental, economical, and Europeanness of it. So you can bet that European supply chain will be somewhere in the package that's proposed as and when.
Oh, they demand it must be built in Europe. She's already made it clear it must be built in Europe. Yeah, because they've realised they need to protect the European car industry.
Everybody else is rife on protectionism, and to be honest, the EU's always been rife on protectionism. It's just we in the UK have sucked at it.
Yes. Talking about sucking at things, do you want to talk about Volkswagen? Because, oh boy.
Volkswagen are having a tough go of it.
Only for the last 10 years, Alan.
I know. There's all sorts of rumours about serious cash issues and all sorts of stuff like that, but there's nothing to substantiate those, really.
Well, apart from the $32 billion plus they had to have shelled out because of Dieselgate, and then.
Yeah. ID.GOLF. I mean, I don't think the naming is possibly part of the challenge. The ID.GOLF and the ID.ROC, which is an electric version of Golf and an electric version of a truck, have been delayed. The Golf was originally meant to come out in 2028. It's been postponed to 2029. And the T-Roc was supposed to come out in 2029. It has been postponed to 2030. That's really quite significant because those are very, very important models for Volkswagen.
Oh, monstrously.
Globally, monstrously important.
Yeah.
At the same time, they have their own battery subsidiary called PowerCo. They would really, really like a financially strong partner.
Yes.
Want it? Partner in electric battery subsidiary. Must be strong and handsome and preferably not on their knees. So yes, there's lots of that kind of thing coming along. Now they're going to flip it round. The ID.ROC will come first in summer 2030. That will be the debut of a new SSP platform, they're calling it. And then the ID.GOLF will come along a little bit later. There's some other model shifting, like ID.3s and Cooper Borns moving from Zwickau to Wolfsburg to bridge the gap and all sorts of things like that. But there's basically an awful lot of reshuffling of the cards going on at Volkswagen.
Yeah. We have said for many, many years, we don't understand how they have continued to operate, apparently.
I think that's caught up with them.
With the face that they have, and unfortunately the shift in strategy that they made to go to the ID sub-brand.
It was super hurried.
Yeah, it was so hurried that it never had a chance to succeed in the way that they needed it to, or one would expect from Volkswagen. It was not as planned out and given the time to mature.
Yeah, I keep pointing this out, really, is that the IDs, certainly the early IDs, which sort of caused and created a reputation for the IDs, it wasn't that they were bad, it's just that they weren't good. And there were some really nitpicky things, cost-saving things, which really peeved owners and potential owners. Stuff like you only get 2 window switches and another button to decide whether those window switches work the back or the front. Stuff like that. Just simple things that just really annoyed customers.
Well, not illuminating.
And they're not illuminating the temperature thing at the bottom slide. And
that was so silly.
It was that kind of thing. The actual fundamental bones of the vehicles, this is pretty good. Shall we move on to something a bit chirpier?
Yes, I will. Now, we've held on to this story for quite a while because we just haven't had the space in the show. But this is back from...
But we've always liked it.
Yes, we have. So that's why it's
survived because we like it.
It's back from the 29th of July and is Motoring Research article linked in the show notes that is titled BMW invests 1 million in EV chargers at UK national parks. They have installed up to 135 charging points in the national parks across Britain. And we like this so much because whilst one could perhaps suggest that this is a cynical marketing ploy, if it is the fact that it is putting out electric charging points in quite remote areas, because let's not forget, if it's a national park, it's a remote area.
Places that it's hard to put them.
Yes, it's still a good thing. Okay? And not only that, but they have also invested in other projects that are to do with national parks that aren't anything to do with sticking in a charge point, or that they can go, oh look, we've put more chargers or something like that on some advert or marketing blurb. They haven't done that. They've done it in other parts of the national parks that help the national parks be more for us and be more enjoyable, more accessible, be more educational, because there's some stuff that's to do with kids and getting them on board and things like that. We've kept this on board because we think that's a really good initiative, and we hope more manufacturers actually do this sort of thing across the country in areas that are tricky to get to.
BMW could have spent this £1 million on a television advert or online advertising, whatever else.
We only cost about £50,000 an episode, so it's okay. They could have saved some money.
Yeah, if you want to do that. But instead of that, they've done something which is actually meaningful and will have a lasting legacy, not just EV chargers, but also just generally stuff like flood defences and things like that. Not only that, this has saved us having to look at their fugly EVs on TV and on the internet. So there's another win for the rest of it.
Absolutely. And though cynical though that we both are, and we really are, we do applaud this, and well done BMW.
Oh yeah. No, this is genuinely
just to show that we do acknowledge when somebody does something good, even if we could choose to be cynical about why they did it. We are still choosing to promote this and go, well done.
We get annoyed when all we hear is us moaning, by the way, and I'm sure it's the same for those of you out there. We just don't want to be non-stop moaning.
Yeah.
Yay.
Good thing. Well, do you want to do another good thing?
Yeah. Falkirk-based Alexander Dennis, the bus manufacturing company, they have introduced a repowering service for its Enviro 400 diesel buses. Now, you probably don't know what an Enviro 400 diesel bus is.
No.
I couldn't have told you the name either. But you'd recognise one if you saw it. It's a relatively modern double-decker buses that we see around all sorts of towns and cities in the UK, and sometimes going between the towns and cities in the UK. Their new initiative, called AD Repower, must have taken minutes to come up, is going to actually start rolling out proper trials in 2026. The idea is that they're going to have essentially a plug-and-play new drivetrain for these buses. So you'll be able to whip out the diesel-y bits of an existing bus and stick in a motor and some batteries in the place that the diesel-y bits have come out of, and voila! For only a mere rumoured £200,000, you now have an electric bus. And if you think £200,000 sounds a lot, that's nothing compared to how much a new bus costs, whether electric or otherwise. It has a number of benefits, meaning that, first of all, operators then get essentially a new bus.
Mm-hmm.
That is mostly a new thing. Sure, brakes and suspension bushes and stuff like that will probably need to be updated. They get a system which they can fit themselves. They buy it, and much in the way that bus depots quite often just swap engines between buses, they'll be able to just swap these straight in to existing buses as part of a maintenance cycle. And once they've done that, the operators, of course, get all the benefits, all the tax benefits of having an electric vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
They end up with the ability to operate them in more places because this is an electric vehicle, and loads of other sort of benefits like that to operability and to just generally being able to deploy their buses. And buses regularly get engines swapped anyway, so this is nothing new, really. It's kind of cool. Alexander Dennis isn't actually the first to do this. Their big competitor, Wrightbus, introduced New Power about a year ago, which is a similar product, a similar idea. So let's see what happens with these.
Well, I think that means we've made it to the end of the first part.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Andrew. That is the end of the first part, which means this is Guilt Minute, the quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand. You can help us by following for free for a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and reading the show, whatever your podcast lets you do so. If you've done all of that, and some of you do, so thank you very much indeed, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues. I just want to take a small moment to also thank new patrons over the last couple of weeks, as well as existing patrons who have twiddled their subscriptions generally in an upward direction. That makes a big difference. And also thank you to other people who have been very helpful over the last couple of weeks and supported the podcast in some other ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. You're lovely. Right, now on to, for New Car News, we're going to do the Munich Motor Show. There wasn't enough really to do a special edition because we toyed with the idea and then life became difficult.
Yeah, sorry.
in a variety of ways. which meant that it really wasn't going to happen anyway. But then when we investigated it, we'd have struggled to have made a half an hour show, I think.
I think so, to be honest. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? But we've sort of introduced so much as we go along.
It's a bit meh, honestly.
Well, I'm less meh than Andrew is, but that's pretty much par for the course.
Well, yeah, it's the usual, isn't it?
It's a bit. So what we've got in front of me, anyway, is motor research sort of summary coverage.
Yeah.
And I think what we're going to do is kind of click through their slideshow and be variously abusive as we go. Do you know what? For those of you who might have the video, why don't I just share this window? People do sometimes say, wouldn't it be nice if you could do that? And so for a change, let's do it.
So as a treat to the patrons of a certain level.
Yes. There we are. Right. The biggest treat of all is that they only get to see a little bit of our faces and far more of the shared screen. Where to start? Well, this starts with the BMW iX3.
Sorry, I thought that was the Mocha.
No. Okay, I see it, yes. The iX3 that they've shown has a sort of rabbity beaver grille, which is sort of inset into, yes, a rather Mocha and Vauxhall-like visor.
Well, it's a newer classer, isn't it? Newer classer look.
Yeah, that's the new platform. But of course, it's named over the classic.
So they've gone for a smaller grille, which we like, because the previous design philosophy was very much, here's a grille with a car attached.
It's mercifully not like an XM, okay? The rest of it is kind of...
Meh.
I see it, but I wish there were 8 inches less height. If there was 8 inches less height, this would be really quite good looking.
Yeah, it's bland.
It is, although, yes, it is. It's just... Yeah. I mean,
it's not full of slashes and swoops and creases, and I applaud that, but it's so beige.
But it's all illuminated, Andrew.
Oh, great.
They've illuminated around the grille.
Lovely.
In the places where you used to get chrome and natural shininess, you get lots of illuminated
Smashing.
stuff.
Wonderful.
Let's face it, it's better than some of BMW's recent design language. I'm sure it will be a lovely thing to drive. I'm sure it'll be incredibly economical.
And I'm sure the dials will drive you insane.
Yeah, they will. But it just, aesthetically, it is a bit of a dog's dinner. The idea is nice, but I think what's actually had to come out in the realities of packaging have really sort of trashed it.
It feels like they've gone so far in the other direction to how they've been recently that they've taken out all personality.
I think they started doing that a while ago. I say that as someone whose father has bought BMW since the early 1980s. Mm-hmm. Okay. Loads of people my age want to own a BMW. I don't, because it's what my dad drove. In the way that many of you don't want Fords or Vauxhalls. So.
God. Throw some shade. My word.
No, I'm not. Sorry. It's one of those. You see, no.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you peasanty people.
Don't take that the wrong way. Don't take that the wrong way.
Click on to the next one for our patrons, because I think...
do you want the Motorrad?
I'm going to talk about the Motorrad, which is a electric scooter, which harks back to the covered scooter that they had back in the early 2000s, which was...
The C1, mate. The C1.
Adam Tudor Lane was, before I left Twitter, he was refurbishing and doing back up one of those as a remarkable project.
Yeah, which was very cool.
Yeah, and this is along those lines, but is a bit more... it's a bit more tactical, because it's not got a roof, and it's got top-mounted spots and things. But I love the idea that they haven't forgotten that, and it is an option and an idea, because I do believe personal mobility in a small scale is a way we need to go. That is not a step backwards, I don't feel.
No, and BMW, because, of course, they've got a motorcycle side as well, which we never talk about because we're a car show. Then that sort of all-round mobility is part of their it's part of their heritage. I always like it whenever they roll out some of these concepts, because they kind of make it through. But I love the fact it's more of a sort of Dakar scooter. That's really what it is.
I mean, it has got a literal roll cage, and it has got top-mounted spots. So I'm not sure what market they think they're putting this into.
I'm not sure those top-mounted spots are going to make it to production, whatever they're doing. But I do think it is a cool electric scooter.
Yeah, think of the aerodynamics.
Yeah. There's a couple of collabs from Mini, but I think they're mostly irrelevant, to be honest.
It's just having something for the show, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so. The next important thing, of course, is we talked about the ID.GOLF and the ID.ROC. As I hate myself every time I say those. There is the ID.POLO, however, which was originally going to be the ID.2. It's been shown in a kind of camouflaged way as sort of art cars. It's Polo. It's electric. It's Polo-sized. I think if you sort of squint and sit back and try to look your way through the camo, I think it's going to be quite a handsome, good-looking little car, to be honest. There's also showed a GTI version as well.
Yeah.
With some nice wheels and, again, the sort of wrap. So we don't really know what it looks like. But again, it's looking to come through in the summer of 2026. So we've got some really good little feel-good cars coming through. Other thing they show is the ID.Cross concept.
If you see that in silhouette, if you see that as side profile, you go, oh, look, the Citroen Aircross.
It is.
Because it's even got the bits on the back.
It might as well be called the ID.C3 Aircross concept. Yeah, it's pretty homogenous. On the other hand, the same base, the Cupra Raval, is going to be the one of the Spanish versions, sportier version of the ID.Polo, with another version to come along. And Skoda was showing off the Epic.
Well, hang on, before you move to that, because we obviously, when we do this show, we've got several, typically for something like the Munich Motor Show, we've got several different articles that we look at to give us the broad view of this. And we've not included it in the show notes, but you can find it yourself. But if you look at the Autocar article that is all the new cars at the 2025 Munich Motor Show, the one thing I will say is the Cupra Tindea concept is very much, and no one else is looking at this at the moment. I'm sorry, patrons, on this one. I should have thought about this before.
I'm sorry. If I'd known, I would have made sure I'd have had this.
No, that's my bad. However, for as much as I have just attacked BMW for previously having lots of swoops, slashes, creases in their car, this thing is the epitome of swoops, slashes, creases, unnecessary lines, and extravagant design in a mad way. I think it looks fabulous because I think it's a concept. So it's slide 6, by the way, as you're going through. And I think it just looks ridiculous, but it does remind me of some of the cars that Cupra have had previously. It's a little bit out there, but it has caught people's imaginations. And I think this is just a more expressive version of that wouldn't necessarily make it to the road in that format.
It's expressing itself in the form of a more interesting Lamborghini Urus is what it's doing.
Well, it's not using the famous Volkswagen door handle because it's only a concept.
This is true. Yes, only because it's a concept.
Yeah. But I just wanted to mention it because I thought it was one of the few very interesting cars because it was a bit out there. Whereas I felt so much of the Munich Motor Show was very, very safe.
There's a lot of flavours of Volkswagen. It's in Germany. What do you expect?
Yeah, that's going to happen, and I understand that, and I'm not naive. But so many of the other things that came across, like a lot of we're not going to mention most of the Chinese cars that are in the link in the show notes, but do flick through the slideshow to check them out. But there's an awful lot of AI designs and car.
I was going to say, and you'll just check them out and click through them very quickly because they're all just so generic. They're very much, Chinese SUV styling. There we go. It's electric as well.
Mm.
And it's almost become a design language in its own.
Yeah,
in itself, you know.
It's like a niche now, isn't it? But you're about to go onto it, but I don't think Skoda are doing that.
No, I like the Skodas. And I generally like the Skodas right the way across the board because they are less of that, as you put it, AI design language. They're less generic. They're a bit more interesting. And we're being really harsh on Chinese brands. Some of the Chinese brands we don't get here, like Zeekr and stuff, aren't doing that. They are doing the interesting design language. But what we're getting from BYD, what we're getting from GWM and these people is as you say, that sort of genericism. There's nothing wrong with them. They are perfectly good cars. They will get you from A to B with a minimum of fuss quite a lot of comfort, and they're perfectly well built.
They're fine.
But they're just about as interesting as a food mix.
Whereas I like the way that Skoda have... They're one of the few car companies that seem to have played with the front end in an interesting way rather than just blank off a grille or something like that. They've actually put different materials or different colours through it, and it just looks like someone's given it some thought rather than they've gone, oh, hang on, we forgot about the grille, what do we do?
And that makes me feel bad about what we've just said about BMW, where they actually went to the effort of doing something different.
Yeah.
Unlike, we'll see Mercedes in just a click or two. Let's not even mention the Renault Clio because it's pretty ugly.
Just awful.
Andrew doesn't like the Mocha GSE, so I'm not allowed to talk about it. But the GLC with EQ technology, one, I hate the name. And two, what is that?
Alan, what they've done is they've taken an ICE GLC because doing something different scares buyers. This is the thought process.
I know, which is true, because Mercedes tried to do something different.
Some of that is true. Yeah, but it was poorly executed as well, let's be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And to show it's electric, they have decided that they will light the entire grille up. And you said,
if that doesn't do happy little animations, I'm going to be really disappointed. I think it's hideous, but I want some show from that. If you're going to do that, at least, that would be like Faraday Future and have it showing motion or something equally pretentious.
No, but I don't want that on the front of a car because it's going to put off whoever's in front or someone who's driving towards it.
No, but don't worry about that, because inside there's a floating hyperscreen which can turn itself into a 99.3-inch display. So you're going to be so distracted that you're not going to be able to tell that people coming towards you in your lane are distracted as well.
Yes, quite. Volvo brought the ES90, which is allegedly a saloon, although it seems to be a sort of crossover, really, considering how much metal's on the side of it. Because they've got history of the EX70 and stuff like that.
It's a saloon like a Polestar 3.
Why did they not put plastic cladding on the wheel arches and things like that to go, look, it's a bit jacked up?
You could have it an EXC70, couldn't you? I don't know. We've discussed Volvo lately.
No, I'm just worried about them. So worried.
At the minute, Volvo seems to have lost its way.
Yeah. And then if you do continue to click through the Motoring Research article, there is a shed load, as we just said before, of Chinese vehicles that were brought across. Some are more interesting than others. Your mileage may vary. Leapmotor, though, they revealed the B05, which is a hatchback. However, you have no chance of looking inside it because they blacked out the windows and made sure the doors couldn't be opened.
I think they'd prefer you called it a B05 as opposed to a B05.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's probably right. It's apparently sized to rival the VW ID.3 type. We have no idea about details of specs or anything like that. And I'm not sure that Leapmotor know any ideas about the specs the way that they have made sure no one could see inside it.
Slightly surprised at that, given it's yet another competitor in the Stellantis pool of EVs and stuff sold by Stellantis dealers.
Also in the show notes, because we've come to an end of Munich, like we said, there was not enough for a full special edition. There will be a link to a video from Autodidact, who was at the show, and he managed to interview several designers from various manufacturers, as well as those who teach design in Germany. And he gives an interesting perspective on vehicles, but also he talks positively, and so do others, about because we mentioned this last week in New Car News, the Audi Concept C that we just didn't get, really. But many people are very happy about it. I wonder, though, whether people are happy about it because it was a return to a more mature design. And if they look back on it again in 6 to 12 months, they'll go, it was whatever, but at least it wasn't what they were doing before.
Yeah. Anyway, should we move into points of interest?
Yes, let's.
As ever with points of interest, we start off with Lunchtime Read. This week's Lunchtime Read is actually from LinkedIn. I'm so sorry, everyone. It's actually a piece on LinkedIn written by Mark Smith, editor, writer, motoring journalist, and presenter, and generally pleasant person, talking about going to buy a car from a dealership.
Mm.
And he's pointed out that he's bought one car from a dealership in the last 25 years of being a motoring journalist, and that they had to go back and buy another car from a dealership recently. Well, his wife wanted to go buy a car from a dealership recently. And so he's written a piece called Why All Car Journalists Should Go Mystery Shopping, because I think he was a little bit taken aback in many ways by the fact that in some aspects car dealerships have not moved on a lot in that 25 years.
No, some of the cliches and some of the what you hear and you go, oh, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. It's not like that. And having experienced a few elements of this myself, I was totally on board with what he wrote. And obviously it's linked in the show notes. And so do go read it. But it is lucky dip, frankly, when you go out there and you try and get a car.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people, the comments are quite interesting. It's quite a lot from other motoring journalists and stuff. And people pointing out that the small independents are generally better. And
to be fair to him, also Mark does not name the bad names.
He doesn't know.
He deliberately does not.
It's a really well and fairly written, and praise is given where praise is due, and all these sorts of things. Please don't think it's some kind of... It's absolutely opposite of some kind of hit piece on car dealerships.
Mm.
It's not. It's an interesting read, and it's not some kind of hit piece or anything like that.
No.
List of the week.
Yes, List of the Week is from Top Gear, and it is titled Hall of Fame / Shame, 33 of Alfa Romeo's greatest hits and misses. Now, I know normally we do not put a worst of list out there, and I don't think this is a worst of list. This is just, this is primarily the love of Alfa Romeo, but acknowledging that they've not always been successful.
I prefer to see this as generally a list of some of the most interesting Alfa Romeos for whatever reason.
Yes, I like that as well. Bearing that in mind then, Alan, you go first.
Oh, it's so it's actually really difficult.
There's 33 here.
And the reason I say the most interesting ones is because I have a real soft spot for a lot of the ones which are marked miss. And I would own one. For example, an Alpha 75, I would own. That's not my choice, because my choice overall, if somebody said, Alan, go out, pick an Alfa Romeo that you would want to own and enjoy, I would choose an Alpha SZ.
Okay.
That's the 1989 Il Monstro one. It's like brutalist car design with its 6-up square headlamps.
I love the front end. I have always struggled with the rest of the car.
No, love it.
Personally.
I mean, it's essentially a 75 underneath.
I know I'm in the minority here, because if anybody mentions it, particularly crayon wielding people, then it's just, no, it's absolutely fabulous. And cool. And I love how it's unapologetic. It is unapologetic in how it is. And like I say, if I just look straight on at the front end, I love that vision that it gives. But after that, I sort of go, oh, it's a bit...
What about you then? So I can be rude about your choice.
Okay, you can just scroll just a fraction down to the 155 V6 Ti, which is the touring car 155, because, oh my word.
I mean, it's not a lot less brutal, is it? Come on.
No, but it's a bit better resolved, I would argue.
I would disagree with the word resolved.
If you could make that road legal, I'd be very happy.
I thought the 155 was cool. I mean, I think you have to be... There's a kind of rumor with these things that you have to be my kind of shape anyway, that supposedly I'm the right shape for an
Wasn't
Alpha.
it? Things are offset and stuff like that as well. And
it's a little bit of that, but also the fact that you need wee stubby legs, a long back and long arms, and that pretty much fits me.
It is a wonderful list. It's a lovely reminder of where Alfa Romeo has come from, and it's also nice to go back in time before I was grey to look at. So that's a long time ago, everybody. To look at the DTM Alpha 155. Yes, anytime. I'll happily look and listen to that. Anyway, Alan, right? Do you want to take us Now to Scotland and how some people need to learn how to take their tea.
Well, yeah, I found this one. I was looking on the STV News, to be honest. I found this story about whether I'm asking whether or not tourists should put a tea plate on cars when driving. And it says when driving in Scotland.
It's not all tourists, though.
It's not all tourists. Really, it's aimed at people with inexperience of driving on the left-hand side of the road or driving right-hand drive cars. Somebody's come up with the idea, well, you could sell this kind of magnetic or this just sticky tourist plate that you could put on so that you could just highlight to people that maybe they should just, that you're maybe not as familiar with driving on the correct side of the road as us natives.
Take care near this person. It's a bit like the P sign that some people use after they've just passed their test.
And it's one of those things where you think, oh, all right. And then you think, well, actually, is that a good idea? And then you think, well, there's some downsides to it. Well, the downside is it makes it everybody's aware you're a tourist, so therefore you've probably got valuables in the car and they can break in. And all sorts of nasty people from south of the border think of that sort of thing immediately. Whereas, on the other hand, those of us who live around the A9 and on Perth go, oh, goodness me, another one.
Another one, great. Another one I can rob.
Another one. No, because we don't do that, because we're nice. We just go, oh, another idiot that's going to sit at 30 and 60. The 60 road, when some of us actually live here and actually need to get places in reasonable time and stuff. And, you know, the hills are very pretty, but please can we stop looking at them and just concentrate on driving?
Yes. There are lay-bys that you can stop and admire the view.
Yes. You see when there's a big queue behind you, pull over, for goodness sake. Passing places are for your side of the road too. Italian camper van drivers. Andrew has been in the car with me in situations such as this and is aware how it goes.
Soon we'll be starting the personal helicopter podcast show because that's what Alan's going to need.
The whole flying car thing is ridiculous until you are stuck in a queue behind 4 Italian campers doing 30 miles an hour.
Yes.
There are pros and cons for this.
I can see how the idea came up. However, when it did, no one in the group of people who asked it went, yeah, but.
But the thing is, right, if you've not slept your way around the north of Scotland, you'll appreciate that a lot of people already, as it is, stick signs in the back going, we're sorry, we're not used to, we're American, or we're German, and this is a rental, and we're not used to this. So really, it's replacing those. I'm 50-50 on it. If it makes people feel a little better, if it gives us a sort of consistent way of going, oh, gee, let's get.
Does it not just give you an idea, oh, right, I need to bully this person completely? Be honest, Alan.
Yes, a little bit, okay. Okay, yes.
Maybe I'm being too... I'm clearly being too cynical. It would be interesting to hear people...
I do think there should be rules.
Discuss this and actually come up with reasons why it is good apart from, oh, well, at least we know type thing. You know, what benefits will it actually bring? I'm not sure it will bring much benefit on top of people will know.
Yeah.
Is that enough, though? Is that enough?
It actually is.
Okay.
Don't forget, everyone, that between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts on the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of www.motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, aside from Semaphore, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Mostly Semaphore.
Yes, best way to get in touch with me. Well, the wind's so bad at the moment, I won't see it. Best way to get in touch with me is if you search for Crack Windscreen on Blue Sky. Failing that, if you prefer LinkedIn, you can find me under my full name there. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
Blue Sky is about the best, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY.bsky.social. We'll be back, as I said, very soon. Until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.